Hi, this is Jeannie from Trendy, and today I thought I would make a topper for my lantern to get ready for Christmas. My Christmas tree is a white flock tree, and it's got just some old-fashioned style ornaments on it, and it has multicolored lights. So I thought I would use this spray from Raz. It's a flocked limb, and it has the multicolored balls, and the number on it is F3706933, and it sells for $6.99. Now I'm going to use that kind of as the basis of my swag, and then I'm going to add in some extra cedar. This is a brand new little cedar bush that just came in, and the number is 1005070. It's about 14 inches and has about 7 limbs to it. It's a set of 2. You get one that's plain cedar and then one that has little tiny white berries. And then I just picked up some scrap ribbon. I'm going to make a bow, and I just picked up some scrap pieces that I had. It's a snowman ribbon and some white and red. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take my spray and I'm going to go ahead and cut some sections off of it. All these pieces are wired. These are all wired pieces, and instead of just clipping that at that branch right there, I might need a longer piece, so I'm just going to trim this covering off of it so I can make a little longer piece out of it. That's just like a paper wrap on it. And I'm just going to strip that on down so I'll have a little longer piece. And I'm going to leave some of it on there, but I will go ahead and peel off another piece. Now, this will be my main branch that I'm going to use to secure everything else to, but I don't need quite that much length, so I'm just going to bend it. And this is the front of my lantern. I want it to kind of hang off a little more on one side than on the other. Sort of like that. About like that on this side, and then hang off a little bit on the other side. So what I'll do, I'm going to take the cedar sprays and I'm going to go ahead and cut those apart. All these supplies come from Trendy. You can find them on the website, or if you can't find the exact thing on the website, you can find something similar. But it's just really such a good way to use up your scrap ribbon. And I thought that spray with the multicolored balls will just kind of help carry the theme for my Christmas tree. Right now, that lantern sits on the hearth, but I may move it to somewhere else in the house. And I'm just going to use zip ties to put all this together. I'm not going to use any hot glue because one reason I don't have my hot glue here at home. But I'm going to take that spray and just kind of squeeze that together. Oops, sorry. I just use needle nose pliers to kind of squeeze that together a little more. So there will be my starting place, and then I'll take some of the cedar sprays, get the labels off of them. Don't you just hate that? If you're not familiar with Trendy is my daughter Carrie and son-in-law David's website. They sell all sorts of seasonal decorations and wreath making supplies. Mesh, deco mesh, burlap mesh, ribbons, wreath forms, signs, kits, just about anything that you can think of. So I'm going to take some of the green, and I'm just going to kind of layer that down on the wreath on this end. I'm just going to kind of stagger that. I'm not going to put a zip tie in at each piece. I'm going to kind of wait till I get more pieces laid down before I secure my zip tie. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a zip tie right there, and I may have to come back, you know, when I'm done with this and put in a little something extra to cover up that zip tie. These are rather large, but that's what I have right now, so that's the way it goes. Sometimes you just have to use what you've got. You could use a little floral wire for this. Chenille stem would probably show up a little too much. Just push that zip tie around to the back. Clip that off. And then maybe take another piece of the green. And all right, so I'm gonna start layering in from the other end. This is the other piece of my primary spray from Raz. It was a little longer, so I'm gonna lay it on the opposite end. Of course, after I get it on there, I can bend it if I need to, but I'm gonna just layer that on the other end, and I'm gonna put some of the green cedar and some of the cedar with the berries on it. And I'll go ahead and zip tie that piece together. I tell you what, I think instead of using that, I'm going to use my floral wire. I believe that it might not be as noticeable. So I'm just going to start, that's just paddle wire. You get that from Walmart or somewhere. This is the way, a paddle wire is what I use when I'm working with fresh greens. And you just can wire those pieces on. And then I'm just going to layer another piece in, kind of off to each side. Just keep wrapping that around with my wire. And then I can kind of spread that out as I need to and kind of bend it down. I'm just going to keep layering some of that cedar in because my bow is going to kind of sit in the middle of this. So I won't need it to come all the way to the middle. So I'm going to take a couple more pieces and go to the other end. Just wrap that wire around, pull it pretty tight. I will still be able to move the branches around a little bit, but they shouldn't just fall out. Okay. Cut that. Oh, I forgot to wire in. I wanted to put some of the little colored balls, and I forgot to do that. So I'm just going to kind of stick that in. I'll just kind of stick that in, and I'm going to kind of go in from the bottom and wire that piece in. I'm making work it in there without wiring it. I just use the end of that piece to wire that, and I'll just, after I get everything kind of positioned, if I need to go back and secure it anymore, I can. But that's sort of how it's going to look. We're going to kind of bend it down, and I'm going to secure it. I'm going to secure it to the top of my lantern. Can you see that? I'll back my camera up when I get a little bit closer to being through, and then we'll kind of spread those branches out a little more. Well, what I'll do now is make a bow with my scrap ribbon. This is messy. Okay. But that's what we have so far. See, I have one end that's a little bit longer than the other, and I've kind of bent it in the center, and move that over, and we'll put it up on top of the lantern, sort of like that. Let one side kind of hang off more than the other. I'm going to make my scrap bow with the bowdabra. I looked all over the place today for one of those easy bow makers. I wanted to try that. I saw Kali do that on the Facebook Live last night, and I've got to get one of those. I went to Joann's, Hobby Lobby, and Walmart and could not find one, so I think I'm just going to have to order one. But I should be able to do the same thing with the bowdabra. Now, the bowdabra is this plastic part and this little wand. This board is something that my husband made for me to mount the bowdabra on to make it more secure. I'm going to take about a 12-inch tail. Now, my board has markings on it, so I'm going to measure about 12 inches and just slide the ribbon into the bowdabra. And then I'm just going to kind of pull this tail down to an angle toward me. And then I'm going to twist the ribbon and make about a 7-inch loop. Keep the right side up. Just kind of pull that to an angle. It just makes it a little easier than when you get ready to take your bow off. And then make another 7-inch loop. So it's at an angle, so I've sort of got one going to the top, one to the bottom, and then I'll twist and make another loop. Alright, Browser, you've got to let my ribbon alone. So that loop's going up, and then I'm going to twist and bring another loop, another 7-inch loop. It's going to come down a little bit, and then I'm going to finish my ribbon off. I'm going to make about a 12-inch tail, so I'm going to cut my ribbon free. And I can trim those tails up a little bit later. I think I've got one a little longer than the other, but that's okay. So I've got 4 loops and 2 tails. These are 7-inch loops. And I'm just going to take that one and just kind of compress that a little bit. And then I'm going to add another ribbon. This is an 1.5 snowflake. And these are just scrap ribbons. And I'm going to make that tail a little bit shorter, more like about 11 inches. And I'm just going to kind of pull it up to the top. Twist. And I'm going to make this loop a little bit smaller. About 6.5 inches or so, just a little bit smaller than the first one. Just kind of bring a loop to the bottom, twist, make another loop, and let it go to the top, twist. You always twist to get your right side of your ribbon up. I'm going to do 4 loops with this ribbon also. twist. Okay, so now I've got 4 loops. They're about 6.5 inches, and I'm going to end off this ribbon. Browser. Browser's getting my ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to compress that again. Okay, and this time I'm going to use some red. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make the loop just still a little bit smaller and the tail a little bit shorter. Browser. We're building our bow from the bottom up. So we're starting out with the larger loops on the bottom and getting progressively a little smaller. So now these ribbons, tails will be a little bit shorter. And if they're too long after I get through, I can always trim them off. I'm just going to pull that tail out to my left, twist, make my first loop, and this one will be at about 5 inches. Twist, make another loop about 5 inches. Twist, one more loop. Okay, and we'll end off our ribbon. All right, we're going to press that down. And then I have one more ribbon. The last one is a white glittery ribbon. It's also 1.5 inches. And I'm going to make it about the same size as the red. So the tail there is about 6 inches. Hold on. Matt's home from school. So I twist and I'm going to make a loop. Oops, sorry. This loop is about 5 inches. Twist. Get the glittery side up. Make another loop. We kind of pull it up to the top there. Twist. My ribbon has gotten twisted. I should have got my spool holder out, but I just didn't take the time to do it. Okay, we've got to do one more loop, so we've got one more twist. Okay, so now then I've got 4 loops of the white, and I'm ready to end that ribbon off. Okay, take my wand and press that down. Okay, and I'm going to get a chenille stem out and a zip tie. So now I'm going to just very easily, gently slide my stack of ribbons off the bowdabra, and you can see that the ribbons are just kind of stacked up. I'm going to take the chenille stem, I'm going to go right over the top of the center of the stack and come around to the back. Just keep holding on to them and start that zip tie. I'm not going to pull it tight yet. Okay? Before I pull it tight, I'm going to slide a chenille stem under there. I tell you what, instead of a chenille stem, I think I'm going to use some more red ribbon so that I can tie tight to the top of the lantern. So let me just slide some red ribbon under there. If you were doing a wreath bow, you could always, of course, just use a zip tie. So I'm going to get enough of that to tie, and I'm going to pull that zip tie tight. See that zip tie is on the bottom. And I'm going to pull that tight as I can get it, and then snip that off with the wire cutters. So now we're just gonna finish fluffing out our bow, and I'm gonna go ahead on the 2.5 inch ribbon and do a chevron cut or dovetail on that. And to do that, you just fold the ribbon lengthwise and then cut on the folded edge. And on my 1.5 inch ribbons, I'm just gonna angle those. And if I need to trim those more after I get my bow attached, I can. Okay, so I've got some, and I want my bow to kind of look pretty from any way that you look at it. So that's why we're not doing a wreath bow with the tails down the front. I want tails coming off the front and tails coming off the back. All this ribbon is wired. It's just always much easier to work with wired ribbon. I'm just going to fluff those out, fluff out those loops. And I tell you, usually I try to cover up that zip tie that you see in the center, but this is really, you know, covering it up pretty good, that last ribbon, the white. So I'm not going to worry with that. So now I'm going to take my swag and I'm going to secure the bow to the swag. Now I can see the zip tie a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white ribbon, which is falling off in the floor. And I'm just going to fold it. Fold the edges in so it'll just be kind of a narrow piece. I'm going to go right across that, cover up that zip tie, and just bring that to the back. I'm just going to tie that in a knot and trim off the ends. And then that has covered up your little area where the zip tie was. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my swag and I'm going to just I'm going to secure the bow to it. I'm just going to tie that in a knot. And then I'm going to use that red ribbon to tie to my lantern. Okay, so I just secured it to the top of the lantern with that red ribbon, and there's my lantern. And of course that candle is battery operated. So that's it. So I used scrap ribbon for that. So that turned out to be a fairly inexpensive little lantern topper, and I like the way it looks. It kind of still has that old-fashioned theme. And I thank you so much for dropping in. I hope you'll visit us at Trendy Tree. It's Trendy Tree, www.trendytree.com. And we sell all sorts of wreath making supplies and seasonal decorations. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.